motivated. We all need a little motivation. Money keeping her motivated. We all need a little motivation. Money keeping me motivated. We all need a little motivation. Money keeping her motivated. We all need a little motivation. Keep all the real niggas motivated. Keep all them little niggas motivated. Maybach 600, it drove her crazy. Sure they gon' do it, she motivated. I've been neglecting the rover.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Smooth Podcast, simply motivating others onward through hope. Here to the left of me, I have a rising artist, a rising star by the name of Young King. Young King, what's going on, man?
What's going on, brother?
How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well.
All right, so I want to touch on a few things. The first thing I want to touch on is your newest project, Rolling Stones. What can you say about the project?
Rolling Stones, it's actually interesting. It's part of a trilogy.
Okay.
So the first part of the trilogy is Things I Should Have Said. So that came out first.
Okay.
And then the next project, the recent project, is Rolling Stones, and there's another project. So that's trilogy, 3 projects.
Yeah.
Just divided, so like people could really digest the music and really get to understand the feel of like my emotions at the moment of writing the music. Got
you. So a few interesting things. One, it's labeled as a pop kind of like EP album.
Yeah.
Was that a decision made by you, by your label? Is that really the music that you tend to make going forward? Like, how did the pop kind of genre come about?
Oh, so pop genre came about because my music is not just hip hop. It's not just Afrobeat, even though like sometimes like there's some instrumentals that kind of sounds a little Afro. Mm-hmm. There's some it's not about R&B. It's everything together, and I feel like that's where pop music kind of sits right now. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you hear some like great Adele music that's pop, and sometimes you hear some great Drake music that's pop, you know. And now like there's a new genre, Afro pop, Jersey pop. So I feel like the best place to put the music, the best genre for the music.
So that was like
for my sound, yeah.
So that was like something that you wanted.
It was my decision, yes.
So I actually think that that's like a very smart way to go about it, and the reason why I say that is because, you know, kind of feeding off what you said, I do feel like pop music is just like, it can be like rock, it can be rap, it can be hip hop, it can be R&B, but it's just like the magnitude of who it goes to. Like people would categorize Nicki Minaj as a pop artist, but she raps, you know what I mean? Yeah. But like putting it under the pop category, I just feel like there's already a tone of like, oh, a lot of people should like this. Yeah. Right? Yes, and so I do think that was actually like a really smart idea that you guys did. I also wanted to talk about Music Oven, the label. They're the the ones that really were behind you through all this. What can you say about the label?
I'm gonna say what Lil Baby said. Shout out my label. That's me.
Okay. So and do you want to just name the people involved?
Okay. So I have like the whole record label. It's my record label. I started as the CEO of the label. I have my brothers involved. Okay. I have Lance. I have Shagun. I have Al. I have all the people that chip in and like help every now and then. Mm-hmm. But that's just the inner part of the label. And then the outer part is like we work with so many different brands, so many different marketing team. You know, there's a promotion team, there's video team. You know, we work with so many different people, and we consistently work with the same people to like, you know, spread the music out. But yeah, the label is really small. It's like a friendship that grew into something that's bigger than just friends. You know?
Cool. And who came up with the name? Did you come up with the name?
Yeah.
And what music, like the oven part? Yeah. Like what's that all about?
All right. So it was kind of funny because like I was trying to come up with a name. Originally, the name of the label was Young Kings with Big Dreams. That's my artist name now. So I was about to drop music, and one of my boys that was endorsing music, his name is Dr. J, was gonna drop a collaboration together, and then he was like, "Why can't you just do Young King? Like that's kind of catchy. People will fuck with it. People will, you know." Yep. So I was like, I don't know. So I did it, and then I was like, "Yo, my music is like kind of like all around good, so it has to be something that's like, you know, it's heat, it's fire." Yeah. I was in college at the time, so I was like, "Yo, it got to be like something out the oven." So I was like, "Oh yeah, music oven." Gotcha. And the label kind of like come from like, you know, any sub label that artist owns is usually like I bridge the label. Like, you know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So. I follow that. So speaking of college and things like that, where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Nigeria. To be specific, I was born in Ibadan. I grew up in Lagos. Okay. And then I came to America when I was like, I want to say 15, 16. I could never get it right, honestly. Okay. I really need to say that.
So you came here and started high school right away, pretty much? Yeah.
Basically.
And what high school did you go to?
I went to Mount Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant. Okay.
Yeah.
And was that like a huge culture shock for you, or?
Yeah, it was big. It was a huge difference. It was culture shock. It was everything was just different. And like like the movies, like let's say like Anna Montana is kind of like that's kind of what you see and like the vibe you expect, but it's really not. Like life is not like just all beautiful and stuff. So
Right.
there were definitely some adversity and challenges.
Yeah, I mean Mount Pleasant will teach you that pretty quick.
Yeah, I went to school with like half the whole population was Spanish, and that was my first introduction to the language and like the culture. So like there's so many different stuff,
That's interesting. And now, life in Nigeria, like how was your family life in Nigeria? Were you guys pretty straight, or how was things back at home?
I grew up with like my mother passed away when I was younger, so I kind of grew up with my sisters. My father was in America. He was kind of working and providing for the family through that. So like, it wasn't like my childhood wasn't like a family childhood. It was more like kind of like a survival, but like not like struggle, not fully struggle. But
Right.
like, there are days where you experience struggles.
You had everything you needed, but at the same time, like you didn't really live with your parents.
I wouldn't say everything I needed, but everything that God felt like I needed, because I feel like as human, we always want better things.
Mm-hmm.
Like life wasn't definitely like bread and butter. Like it wasn't smooth. It wasn't like I wasn't struggling either, because that would be like an insult to my father because he works hard. But any African would know what that means, or like anybody that's like minorities and not people back home. It's not easy because whoever's here takes care of everybody. So
And now, was he working in Providence?
Yeah, he lived in Rhode Island always.
Okay, and what made him pick Rhode Island out of all places?
I don't know, and I'm mad about it. I don't know, and every time like, he's like, yo, why couldn't you just go to like somewhere else?
Like Atlanta or something,
like, I feel like, to be honest, there is kind of like a lot of Nigerians in Rhode Island, so that probably is why, but I don't know why he picked that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, why can't we just... You live in New York,
Yeah.
because that's what everybody kind of know, like anybody outside America is like New York.
And they want
now
to
it's
go
kind of
to
like
New
DC,
York,
is like Atlanta now, but like before it's mainly New York because everything is promoted for New York,
Yeah.
So I was like, why are we not living in New York?
Right. And so, we're gonna fast forward to college. So what college did you go to?
I went to URI.
Oh, nice. So that's a pretty good school, especially if you came here when you were 15 years old. Like you were decent academically, like
I was
in high school.
Excellent.
Oh, okay.
It was not decent, but I was excellent. I was
All right.
Very in tune and very focused with my education.
That's what's up.
I had to be.
That's what's up. And so, what did you major in the college?
In college, I double majored in medical lab science and biochemistry. But then,
my
last year of college, it was during COVID. Okay, my last year was 2020, but because I was double major, I had a year-long internship. So for my medical lab science, I had to do a internship at the hospital for a year, and it was during COVID. And like I was like, what? Everybody was suspicious. Everybody was freaking out. Like 2020. So I was like, I already have the biochemistry. I just ended up doing like petty internship to like just stay in school, and then not just wait to graduate in December because I wanted to graduate when everything was. So
oh wow! And did you end up doing anything in that field afterwards?
Biochemistry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I work in like a pharmaceutical company.
Oh, that's what's up, man. Yeah, clap it up for that, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I think kind of following your dreams can also mean that you're collecting a check too. I think a lot of people are it's gotten to a point where it's almost looked down if like, if you're an entrepreneur, but you also have a 9-to-5. But I think like both of them coincide together. Like I have like a lot of entrepreneur stuff, but I've always had a 9-to-5 myself. And it's allowed me to like take certain risks that probably I wouldn't take if I didn't have a 9-to-5 check coming in and things of that nature. And I'm sure you as well. I'm sure there's extra promotion. I'm sure there's extra kind of things that you would spend money on that if you didn't have a 9-to-5 or if you didn't have a career, you'd be like, I don't know if I'm going to risk it all like that.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you brought that up because I feel like there's like kind of like in the career, in the fields, there's always notion of like, you should just focus on music and like, do trap stuff or like, what I'm saying? Like, can't fully talk about it because it's not attached to Black culture, but it kind of is.
I get it.
I personally think if you grew up the way I grew up or if you come from the same background or you have similar drive and motivation that I have, I don't care what the money is as long as it's legal, like however you make the money, make the money. I always make sure like I spend my 24 hours wisely. So it's like If I have to go there from 7 to 7, I will go there from 7 to 7, as long as there's something coming back. And,
Yeah.
you know, so
I mean, you probably were aware of like the lack of opportunity back home. That was probably like one of the biggest things.
Yes.
So now it's like it's the opportunity's there. It's just you gotta put the work in.
yeah,
You gotta spend the
I'll
hours.
be stupid
in.
to not put the work in because
Right.
like there's a lot of people like PhD in back home that don't have a job.
Just because the opportunity's not there.
It's corruption. So like I feel like I put myself in position to excel in life, and I'm not gonna waste the opportunity because being a scientist and being a biochemist is also a part of my dreams. That's why I'm a young king with big dreams, and I'm living my dreams.
Right.
Dreams
No, that's
get
what's up,
bigger.
man.
Dreams
No,
get bigger.
that's amazing, actually. So I did want to kind of like fast forward to you having a billboard of sort in the middle of the mall. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah. That was interesting. That's a good one. What do you want to talk about with that? Like,
I want to talk about first who thought to do it. Second, like
why the mall.
like I do feel like you might have been, you know, the first batch of maybe like 5 that did kind of take that leap and do it. So
I
like,
was not the first batch. I was the first person to ever do it.
you're the first person to ever do
First
it. Period.
artist, the first anything from Rhode Island to ever be in the mall. It was
I like
me.
how he corrects me too. That's
Yes,
good.
it
But the
was
first
me.
one,
I did it. People did it, and I did it again. And that was
Got you.
boring. So now we're doing something else.
gotta do something else.
Yeah.
I gotta see you like.
And then we do it in New York. Sorry, do you
Yeah,
happen
no,
to see the billboard in New
yeah,
York?
I haven't seen that one yet,
Yep.
but
The third time I was like, you know what? It's boring now. People jacked it. Now let's do it bigger because I'm not I'm a pop artist. I'm not a local artist. I don't see myself like that.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest artist, but I'm coming up.
so whose idea was it to do it for the first?
It was me.
Okay,
I
and
wanted,
how did you even know who to reach out to, et cetera, et cetera?
bro. I'm not. I feel like I'm the type of person that's like, I wouldn't say really smart, but like I'm very. If I want something, I know how to get it. So, it was my idea because it was before I graduated in college, and I kind of felt like this is actually kind of like personal, but I don't mind talking about it. I felt like I was graduating, but it didn't feel like a success. You know what I'm saying? Because like I started making music when I was in college, and like to me it was just like a fairy tale dream. I dropped this music, people will mess with it because it's fire and it'll blow up. But then it's not like that. You start seeing who your friends are and who's not your friends and who actually supports it. So after I graduated, remember I told you I graduated in 2020. So in 2021, I was like, I gotta make a statement to really establish myself as a musical artist, to make people respect me. And I'm like, what is there to do to like really establish myself as an artist in the city
And separate yourself.
Yes, because I've always focused on my own lane. I don't do stuff because people do it. Like I was like, you know what? I have to do something where everybody goes to, where everybody would notice me, and they would know it's me.
And where did this confidence come from? Because like that sounds good and all, but you know, I would also imagine there's a lot of people that are like, yo, I do not want my face plastered in the middle of the mall. Like even as artists, like I feel like a lot of artists nowadays, they're more kind of like inclusive. They're more introverts. They're more like, yeah, I'm gonna make this music, but I'm not really gonna pop out to anywhere. You know what I mean? So what kind of gave you this whole like confidence of like, no, here I am, here's my face, look at me type of confidence?
I've never been asked that before. That's actually a really good question, but I don't know. It's just from inside. I always like my favorite quote ever since like I've had a conscience has always been, I'm too motivated to be, I'm too dedicated to be distracted. And like my only motivation is to feed my inspiration. So I felt like it's just something that's just inside of me. It's not like I've never been afraid. I've never been the type of person to be in the room and be quiet. Like I'll be quiet when it's necessary, but when I talk, you gotta listen because I'm not talking from a place of, it's coming from a place of wisdom. So it's being in the center of attention is part of being an artist. So it would never be something I would shy away from as a musical artist.
And now part of that confidence leads me to my next thing, which I absolutely love. In your bio, you have Grammy Worthy artist. I love that. I love that. Because like at first you read it and you're like, huh? And then you're like, I have to give this a listen now. Because like he is talking that big talk. But I love that stuff. So do you want to explain like how you just came across of like, yeah, I'm just going to put that.
It's just like a spur of the moment for me. Like I said, the Grammy Worthy thing, it's like, I believe it was like after I did the first time I did it in Mo, I was pushing a single. It was a rap single, and then I dropped a single off the trilogy. And then when I was dropping the trilogy, we shot a video, and the video was so clean. It's like, this is something Drake would do. This is something like Adele would do. This is something like Bryson Tiller would do. So I'm like, you know what? These are all people that wins Grammy. So I was looking for a caption. I was like, and the first photo of that of that music video that I used to promote, to build up the hype, was just like, I was like, yo, this is Grammy worthy. And then as soon as I posted, there was a lot of comments underneath like, oh, this is definitely a dope album cover, like, so it's just where it came from. It was just, and part of my dream is always to win a Grammy, so yeah, it's just Grammy.
No, I love it. It made me double take, and it made me like really like what you're doing with the whole like genre of pop and saying things in that light, and like just the way you come off. It's a very polished look. It's a very like, even if you're not the biggest artist yet, like the playing field is there for you. You know what I mean? Like nobody would hear your music, see you, and be like, no, he doesn't have the potential to be a huge artist. Like everybody would agree, like the potential's there, and as long as you keep on working, like you're gonna get there for sure.
Appreciate it.
You know what I mean? The two individuals in here today, what are their names?
All right, so I came here with my brother Lance and my brother Dr. J. I was actually just mentioning him.
Yeah.
By the way, my brother Dr. J makes music. He's one of the best Afrobeats artists I know, that I listen to, and I listen to Burna Boy and all them guys, and I think he's definitely up there with them.
Okay.
You just got to give us time.
So if I was to go up to Lance and then I was to go up to Dr. J and I would ask them individually, what's the biggest thing that Young King needs to work on? What would each one of them tell me?
That's an interesting question. You have to put me on the spot. I have to digest that. The biggest thing, I think everybody have different
individually, like
everybody,
one by one.
Yeah, everybody have different personalities, so people know me differently. I feel like Dr. J always every time we have a conversation, either we're in the studio or like we're just chopping it up as friends and like hanging out, he always kind of like wants me to do more R&B because like, you're so good at it. I want to hear more of the sad stuff. And I feel like it's like, yo, just drop more music that's emotional. Because I feel like, personally, he told me that and I took it as a criticism. He's like, I feel more connected to you as an artist when you do something pop, not something rap. Not something hip hop, not something drill. Because I do make all this music and I don't release them, but like all my friends hear them all the time. And it doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. And it does express that. So I think you'll probably tell me to do more slow music and like heartbreaks or like love music, because like that's what as a friend and as a fan feel connected to the most. Yeah. I feel like on the other end, working the most, I feel like Lance is kind of like one of my biggest supporters. So I feel like everything is just,
or just as
positive.
A person.
Yeah.
Never mind
as a friend, I think he'd probably want me to drop more rap stuff because he loves the rap stuff. So we just gotta go one and opposite. So the other one would say R&B, the other one would say rap.
Got you. So I mean, all in all, just to drop more music, period.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Mm-hmm. Okay. Would you rather be loved or respected?
I'd rather be respected.
And why is that?
Because love is not... Okay, I did talk about this in my last interview too. I believe love is a circle. Okay. It's like a dart. The dart sport. The closer you are to the center, the more loved you are. So you could leave the ball at any time and the love will still exist somewhere. So I feel like being loved, it's kind of like seeking permission from people, kind of like depending on people to be loved. Okay. I grew up in like a family where I felt like I was loved, but it wasn't a necessity for me to ever question love. So I feel like I would rather be respected, because respect comes with a lot of things. You gotta love somebody to respect them. And you could also hate somebody, but you still respect them. But love is kind of like a stationary thing. Yeah. Respect is more like endless. Like I could not be a fan of, let's say, somebody like Jay-Z, and I said, I respect him as an artist, I respect him as a billionaire. I would not work to Jay-Z and be like, what's up? Like, you want to carry yourself a certain way. I don't necessarily love him, but like I behave myself when I'm around them. And me as a person, as an artist, the image that I carry myself in, I respect people and I expect the same in return. I don't love everybody. I don't like everybody, matter of fact. But I would respect you as long as you don't disrespect me. So I feel like my respect is probably something I could die for. I would not die for love.
Well said. Well said. I definitely understand what you're saying.
Would you rather be loved than respected?
I'd rather be loved, and I say that it's funny because no one switched that on me. I'd rather be loved, and the reason why I'd rather be loved is because I respect everyone in this room, right? Because I have no reason not to respect everyone in this room, right? Mm-hmm. But like y'all call me when there's a snowstorm, I'm not shoveling none of y'all out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You let my sister or my grandma call me, hey, like I need to shovel out. I'm gonna shovel them out because that's like love. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think I just go further for people that I love rather than respect.
No, don't deflect that question to somebody. Deflect it on you. Would you rather?
Yeah, I would
rather me be like, I don't want to go help y'all in the storm, or would you rather your family?
I'd rather be loved. I'd rather be loved.
I respect that. I respect
because I just feel like I'd rather be loved.
Yeah. I think we have different. My decision came from my experience. I've experienced different types of love. Mm-hmm. I know what that means, and I just understood love to be a circle. It's a spot. You can either be in it or not be in it.
Right.
And just because you're not in it doesn't mean you're not living.
Right.
So you can still live without being loved.
And now, say if there was someone that just kind of took a left turn, or they hit a wall, they had a massive failure. What could you tell that person to try to motivate them to get back on the right track?
I don't like to give advice to people because I've never been in your shoes. I can't judge you. I can't guide you. But I could give you a positive talk based on my life. I felt like at some point in my life, I felt like I wasn't where I want to be. I felt like I was like rock bottom, like through different stages of my life. So what kept me going is just believing. It's just I don't believe time is a loop. I believe it's like an endless thing. So it's like if it's sad at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock might be sadder. 3 o'clock might be even saddest. But then right before the morning, there's always a dawn. So that's what I believe in. But if you hit rock bottom, you just got to get yourself out of it. Because I can't advise anybody, really. But if I were to go back to like 2020, like 2019, 18, and talk to my my past self as a future me, I'd probably just tell him, you'll be sad, and you'll be sad again, and you'll be sad again, and you'll be sad again. But that little bit of happiness is worth it. So just keep it going. Don't worry. It'll be worth it.
Yeah, so that's some real stuff. It's not always going to be, peaches and flowers and things like that. But, knowing that actually helps, right? Like knowing that down the line, there's going to be some rough patches probably helps the journey of this thing that we call life. And kind of helps us navigate and cherish the little small happiness that you were talking about. Yeah, probably means a lot more.
Can I ask you a question though?
Yeah.
What does bitter end mean to you?
The bitter end?
Yeah, bitter end. When they say like bitter ending,
bitter
how does that? What does that have to do with like the? How do you process that with the whole conversation we just had about the? Sometimes you struggle, but then it gets better. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes, let's say you lose somebody, like a family member, but you ended up making it. How do you make up for those stuff? How do you feel knowing that, like, you have everything you ever wanted and you could take care of certain people, but, like, you really can't take care of them because they're not around anymore? How does that affect, like, this conversation? How does that impact this conversation of, like, you saying there's always good times at the end? Like we said, the little bit of happiness is worth the whole softness, but like what does bitter ending mean to you as a person?
That sounds like you're kind of touching on like survivor's remorse a little bit. Also just like on that note, when it comes to like people passing away or may have you.
Not necessarily passing away, but like let's say you win, but I was cussed.
Well, I think life, especially for men, is just a travel of sacrifice. So I feel like as men, there's never a win without a loss, and there's never like the world will always figure out a way to balance itself. So you could be winning at one thing, but totally losing in another aspect. So I just know that that's the case, and so when that does happen, I'm not like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Or, when you say at what cost, I kind of calculate those costs before I get into something. So so I already know I'm gonna lose this, but hopefully I gain something else.
That's a good way. So like you kind of like equalize it.
Yeah,
Kind of balance and like just be grateful for the little happiness.
Exactly.
Or the big happiness.
Exactly.
It is, happy
Exactly.
ending.
Exactly. And just knowing that one can't really exist without the other.
Yeah, I feel like life is a wave.
Mm-hmm.
Some days you feel happy, some days you feel down.
Yeah. Yeah.
For no reason.
Well, I definitely thank you for coming by, man. It was a
Appreciate it.
great conversation. Y'all check out his new project, Rolling Stones. My favorite track is Champagne Wishes. Do you want to shout out the producer on that too? Because that beat was crazy.
Actually, it was produced. I got the instrumental from YouTube. That's the only instrumental on that project that I didn't make as like.
Oh wow! Shout out YouTube then, because that instrumental was crazy.
Yeah, I got it from YouTube. I could have remade that, but like the whole sample, I was like, you know what, this person deserves credit because the instrumental was really good. So yeah. But shout out to my producer Alec, man. We do some amazing work, and shout out to my band. Shout out to my team. Shout out to my friends, my brothers, my sisters, and shout out to everybody that's watching.
All right, man. Y'all stay smooth out there.